palpable, and it took more effort than she would like to shrug it off. Your research was thorough, wasn't it? I'm guessing from your tone, you're as eager to put the kibosh on the network's idea as I am. Perfect. Let's continue this conversation during the meeting. The elevator door opened onto the top floor, and she swept out in front of him, glad she'd worn the punishing heels that gave her some much-needed height and confidence. Still, he loomed over her as they reached the reception desk, making her feel small. When he stepped up beside her, his arm brushed hers, and she caught a whiff of sunshine and pine, even though it was January and snowing, and an unwanted surge of desire tied her tongue. He winked at Holly. Mr. Bergman is expecting us. Right this way, Holly said, giving her a split-second loaded look. She had no doubt her best friend and roommate would be waxing eloquent on Donovan's uber-hotness at home later. Could she threaten to withhold the roasted sweet potato and black bean nachos unless Holly kept her mind out of the gutter? Maybe she'd hide the tequila, although she had a feeling she was going to be in desperate want of a drink by the time she got through this day. This was only the first unpleasant task on her to-do list, and Billy's erupting teeth were making him clingy. She'd round out her long day with a 23-pound boulder wrapped around her leg, and another sleepless night for sure. Since her back was to Donovan, she made a face at Holly, who acknowledged her pained grimace with a slight curve of her perfectly glossed lips, and stood. Even before motherhood had turned Susannah into a sleep-deprived, last-season-wearing, diaper-toting mess, she'd never been able to attain the glamour Holly wore so casually. She had to work for it. But that's why you have a career, silly. Women watched her because they didn't feel threatened by her. She was normal. Sort of. More of a has-been normal. A hysterical giggle rose in her throat. She straightened her spine and swallowed her nerves as Holly opened the door to their boss's office. Donovan made a courtly after-you gesture, and she stepped forward, conscious of a blast of heat at her back, as he fell in behind her. She walked faster. Mr. Bergman was just going to have to accept that At Home in the Wild was dead in the water. She could create a home just about anywhere and whip up a delicious dinner from next to nothing, but she wasn't going to do it with Russ Donovan. After what he'd said in the elevator, she was sure Donovan felt the same way. She flicked a glance over her shoulder and caught him looking, not at Holly as she expected, but at her. Specifically her butt. Every ounce of baby weight she hadn't shed got heavier, and she glared at him. He shrugged, not looking the least bit apologetic, obviously another trait he shared with her ex-husband. Humiliation cranked her temper higher as she remembered catching Ethan not just looking at, but touching another woman, in their bed, with their son sleeping in the room across the hall. She pushed the thought away. It was over. She'd found the strength to get out of her rotten marriage, and she was free to make her own decisions. Nothing on earth was going to put her in close contact with another man who enjoyed making her feel like she wasn't good enough. Susannah Stone looked exactly like her Google images, but those pictures hadn't prepared him for the punch of those lovely, warm brown eyes skating over him with utter disdain. Apparently, Susie Homemaker didn't go for his type. That was a pity. She was a looker, if you liked uptight, perfectly pulled together, not a hair out of place women, and he did. He enjoyed messing them up. He checked her out from the back as he followed her into Bergman's office. Her brown hair was pulled into a neat knot, displaying the elegant curve of her neck. Her suit was cut precisely to the knee and a mouth-watering shade of strawberry ice cream pink. He glanced over her shoulder and busted him having a flash fantasy of running his tongue up her shapely